everybody. I'm Karen Hartglass. You are listening to It's All About Food. I can't tell you how excited I am today to introduce my guest, Susan Hargreaves. I've actually known her for a really, really long time, even though I haven't seen her in a long time and we haven't connected in a while. So I'm really looking forward, along with you, to learn more about her. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. And I'm so glad to I'm seeing your face on Zoom, and it's so wonderful to see your face again.
It is. It is. Well, I think, we're fellow kind of redheads, so there's like connection there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is an audio only show, so people won't have the ability to see your lovely face, but they can look at your website and tell us your website.
Animalherokids.org is the website. We're an all volunteer nonprofit kindness education youth empowerment charity. I've been educating children since 1980 about being kind to all animals, and it's really growing a lot. Animal Hero Kids as an organization, but the movement of kids being listened to more than ever before, as we're evidenced by Greta and so many other vocal kids who are really making a difference. When I say kids, I also mean teens, of course, young teens.
Wonderful. It's interesting in this time with social media that we are giving younger people a voice and a way to amplify their voice like never before. And I'm so thrilled that some of them feel so empowered. Now, I can understand that could go in two ways. So I'm encouraged by the kids that are empowered to do good, compassionate things.
And yes, there are these social media things that are growing. It's hard to keep up with them, like TikTok and all that, but yet 12-year-olds are right there on the cutting edge of TikTok,
And they've done some pretty amazing things in terms of tricking the Trump campaign so that they thought that so many people were going to come to a rally and they didn't. And they're pretty media savvy and sharp. And like I said, that could go both ways. So all the strength to the light side, doing good, and not to the dark side. I'm going to be referencing Star Wars a bit because we're right in the middle during our sheltering in place. We've been watching the 3 trilogies and we're just coming to the end, and we're watching them in order. And it's really fascinating to see the films in order of the chronological order, not the order the films came out. But I see so many metaphors with what goes on in life and what goes on with children and how they are impacted by their own personal histories. And I want to hear about yours too, because I know that you've been informed by your own history in many ways, physically and emotionally. And kids can start out so pure and so innocent and full of good thoughts and love. And then, unfortunately, some of them are brought to the dark side through their experience. And this is where your organization can help.
Yes, my background is early childhood education. 3-year-olds are so logical, really. I think they could do better than a lot of people that are in power at this point because they really are logical. It's just a matter of, does this hurt? Is this hurting this animal? Why are we doing that? They have a natural passion and what's right and what's wrong from an early age. It's sometimes thwarted by what is the norms or the mores of society or what's accepted in our immediate family or what everybody else does. But I'm sure everyone listening has seen those videos where when kids just realize that they're actually eating an animal and they didn't know it before, and the reactions. And it's always complete shock and upset, and how we can't do that. I'm sure everybody listening has seen it in all languages with all subtitles underneath. It's always the same reaction from the very young children. When I was 9, I didn't realize that I was eating animals. No. I was 9 years old, and you're using words like chicken, you would think you would know that. And I never put it together. And there I was in a hatchery at 9 years old, being taken there by my Aunt Alwyn. because I like animals so much. And I was standing in the hatchery watching the conveyor belts, and I realized they were gassing and suffocating all the male chicks right after they're hatched. And I saw the big bins, and I saw the hoses, and I looked to the adults, because at 9 you think, look to the adults if something's wrong, oh, this is happening, quick help. But then they were just sorting, and it was all business as usual. And that was a huge shock at 9 years old, seeing all of these chicks being gassed and suffocated. And I couldn't do anything about it. So with groups like Animal Hero Kids, that's no longer. The kids and teens can join Animal Hero Kids, all join together and have a voice. And you don't have to be a vegan to join Animal Hero Kids. Many times the children want to help dogs in their community, and then they learn about how all animals are treated. So now there is something organized that's global, where all the kids can come together. And sometimes they may not stay until they're 16. They may go off then to other things, but they did have that forming, that support, that empowerment. Even if they're the only child in their school that is thinking that animals should not be harmed consistently, then they at least have other kids who feel the same way. And again, with social media, they can see the other kids too, so they don't necessarily have to be in the same room with them, just hear their videos. So if you go to animalherokids.org and look at some of the videos, you'll see all those kids. All ages, all colors, from all over Brazil, everywhere, that are speaking out for animals not to be harmed. And that's a good encouraging sign for the earth. But it's also perfect for me when I go into schools, because I'm not going in there as a raving vegan. No, I am. I'm going in there as someone that is saying, look at this child who has rescued this dog. Look at this girl who has rescued this chicken. Look at all these dolphin advocates. This is what they're doing. Isn't it wonderful? And it's all positive. And then we also, for the younger kids, I go in with Ronnie V. Cow, which is a 9-foot gorgeous costume character that is a cow, as well as a cat and a horse and a raccoon, and like big, huge, gorgeous characters. And I always say, and what do you think V stands for? Can anyone guess? This is for early elementary grades. And so in Palm Beach, I was in the town of Palm Beach, which is quite fancy, in Florida. And this 4th grader said, vodka. Ronnie V. Cow stands for vodka. No, try again. But that Ronnie V. Cow is literally the cow in the room that you can't ignore, that you can't just say, oh, let's just be kind to dogs and cats and horses, while there's a giant cow there that's also got a voice. So I'm really optimistic. After 40 years and in this current climate, it's hard. It's sometimes hard to be optimistic. But the fact is not that I'm not relying on the youth to bring us forward. And I'm not saying vegan is the future. I'm saying vegan is the present. And we all together, no matter how old we are, can actually do something positive to stop animal cruelty, to prevent animal cruelty. And let's look at the changes that we've seen. Think about all the changes we've seen in vegan products and people actually knowing the word vegan. When I became vegan in 1985, nobody knew what vegan meant. You didn't even, why would you use that word when nobody knew what it meant? You might as well be saying, I'm a Martian,
I'm the vegan from the planet Vega.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a bunch of questions. My first question is, your aunt brought you to this chicken hatchery. Did she think you were going to enjoy seeing all those little chicks?
That is what she thought.
Right. So it's amazing the filters that we have not to really see what's going on, but the child saw what was going on. I remember being invited to a feedlot to debate on animal agriculture's impact on climate change. And the woman who invited me was so proud of her feedlot. And she really thought that if we came to see it, we would understand her point of view. Of course, that didn't happen. I was horrified.
Yeah. There's a disconnect. There's an actual disconnect. She took me there because she knows
You
she
loved
knew
animals.
that I.
And you could see all those little chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very sad. Now, I have so many more questions. So as you work with a lot of young children, and it's great that you come in and you're not apparently the militant vegan. I won't tell anyone any otherwise. But I imagine it's difficult because children live with their parents or they live with adults and they cannot make the decisions for themselves. So they cannot choose what they eat. And a lot of times they're given a lot of confrontation. So that's a difficult thing to do, but you're helping strengthen the belief system that they have, that they have naturally, and you're giving strength and power to it. And that's really a beautiful thing. When we're young, and you know this, you're an early child educator, we learn what to eat by looking at our parents. That's something that's ingrained in us from long ago. Is this okay for me to eat? And,
Right.
and then when we learn later, it isn't. We're not wired for that.
No, but that's true. But then at the same time, we have to look at the many, many instances where children have said to their parents, "What am I eating? Where is this from?" And then they tell them honestly. They think about it because their child. Now, it's not that might for the parent. It might be the first time anyone's ever asked this type of question. So then some parents think about it and answer truthfully, and then what ends up happening is the whole family goes vegan. So for instance, Genesis, who's a really great young activist that Animal Hero Kids gave her an award. We give Animal Hero Kids awards, and anybody that knows an Animal Hero kid or teen or a group that's helping animals can nominate them on animalhero.org. And Genesis was one of the kids who were nominated years ago. I think she was 5. The mother answered truthfully and looked for herself to see what was going on, and that entire family is vegan. And that has happened more than once. It's really a current phenomena, I find, because more people know what the word vegan means. It's easier in the stores today. It's just a matter of replacing, not taking away, but replacing. And there's a lot more stars and celebrities that kids look up to. Like the young teen girls love Billie Eilish, and Billie Eilish said to all her Instagram followers, "Hey, you've got to be vegan if you're kind." So all of these outside forces really didn't exist when you and I became vegan, but they do exist now, and it is affecting the whole family group. So when I am in the school, I have thanks very much to Tofurky and Beyond Burgers for helping with the programs where I'm able to give free food to the kids. And we do an Animal Hero vegan submarine sandwich. We build that sandwich. If I can't do food, then Tofurky will give me coupons, and that means that they then take the coupon home, and then they get a free product. I do a lot of group home programs, foster group homes, and I get a lot of help with vegan products that are donated for those events. But then I also actually buy food from their neighborhood and bring it in and cook it with them. So this here is from your local grocery store. We're just having veggie balls and spaghetti, So it's all easy.
Recognizable.
Easy, exactly. It's not like green algae or something. It's just like what you normally eat, but no animals were harmed. So we are really in a time where we are in the midst of change. It's not happening fast enough for the animals that are on the way to the slaughterhouse right now, obviously. And it needs to happen faster. We need to propel it forward. But we are in a situation where we can affect even more change because it's happening. I mean, the change is happening all around us. I'm proud of Animal Hero Kids and the education programs and the support that we give young animal heroes. We just had the summit, not just, but in November. First time ever, we had an Animal Hero Summit, and kids came from all over. They came from Canada.
Nice.
They came all over. They were so excited to empower each other with what they were doing in their own communities. And the kids left equipped with the knowledge and friends for life. I had 3 kids come up to me saying, the best weekend I've ever had, ever in my whole life. They're 9, and that's a lot of weekends.
Well, so, I can see how one of the real benefits is meeting other kids that feel the same way and feeling like they have a community.
Right.
Yes.
And then turn that into being effective, because the fact is that a lot of these kids are so eloquent. And like, take Josie, who's in the Animal Hero Kids book. Now that's almost 284 pages of positivity, kids helping animals, rescuing animals, speaking out for animals, and also practical tools of how to create a school club, how to talk to your government, your local government, how to organize a protest. So it's very practical. So it's like a guidebook, really. Josie is just turned 12, and she is more eloquent than many of the adults that I know. No offense to many of the adults, but she searingly puts forward her point about how animals are being harmed. And it's just inarguable. She's so logical. And she rescued her and her family were driving along a road one day, and it was a country road, and they saw a sign that said free bacon. And they pulled over, and there in this little cage was this little piglet alive by the side of the road. And so now that piglet is now Franny, and you can see Josie with in the animal
Franny.
Exactly. And Franny is a therapy pig, so Franny can go and visit schools and old age homes and places with Josie.
That's a beautiful story. I love that. I'm thinking about children and where they come from and how that impacts their own philosophy. So do you see them coming from all different types of environments and cultures? And then their own work, they need to have the support of the people that are around them. So I imagine some of them do and some of them don't.
Yes.
So what happened?
First of all, the Animal Hero Kids book won an award by Skipping Stone's Honor magazine, which is a youth diversity magazine, a multicultural magazine, I guess they call it, because there are all colors in the book from all walks of life. So I have found that a lot of African American children and teens rescue animals in their own neighborhood fearlessly. And they come together and respond in a way that is right, that is just, that they're on the side of the animal that needs help. They're on the side of the underdog, I guess. And literally a dog. One of those stories is in Liberty City in Miami, which I've done a lot of programs there. And these 7 kids were playing on a Sunday afternoon, and they saw a man chasing and beating a puppy. And then the man put the puppy under where the manhole is, the drain, and put the puppy down there. And they went to the dog lady of the neighborhood, and Tia, and Tia and the kids, Tia got the cover up, and there was this little puppy down the drain, broken leg. It's about 7 months old, and they got the little puppy out. One of the boys actually went in to the sewer to get the puppy out. Yeah, so they named the puppy Winnie, and Winnie was so badly injured that the leg had to be amputated. So there was a little 3-legged dog puppy, and I surprised them at their elementary school, Allapattah Middle School, and Leonore B. Smith Middle School, because it was children from elementary age right up to middle. And I surprised them with Animal Hero Kids Awards and a reunion with Winnie, who had found a home. So it was a nice reunion in the library, yes. And it was so nice that the local Jamaican vegan restaurant, which is called the Vegetarian Restaurant, if anybody's ever in Miami, by Hakeem, brought Jamaican vegan patties and carrot cake, and so we had a great time. And I always put out news releases for that sort of thing, and they loved the media, loved it. Of course, 3-legged dog, all these children, you know, it was made. Yeah. Every news media outlet came for that, you know. And so then I gave them an award at an annual awards where all of the kids from all over came from, I mean, some wonderful stories that are in the book. The kids that spoke out against wolf and coyote penning in Florida came. And then Ricky Williams, the NFL football player, came to that, which was wonderful because I had a group home that was actually on Okeechobee County jail grounds in Florida, a group home of boys who were like 13 who were doing dog socialization for dogs who need homes. And they got an award, and the award was given to them by their hero, an NFL football player, Ricky Williams.
Wow.
So it was just all positive reinforcement. That's what it is. It's all positive reinforcement for being kind. And in front of their peers, they're applauded, you know, and it reinforces. Then when it gets media, well, that goes even wider, doesn't it? Think about it. So yeah, it's Animal Hero Kids. The challenges we have is, of course, we're not a large organization. It's a grassroots, all volunteer nonprofit. So we're not necessarily funded, especially in these times. And a lot of times, you know, the money doesn't go to animals. If it does go to animals, as you know, it will go to dogs and cats. And then the larger groups that have the name recognition will get funded after that. So then at the end of it, it's a challenge. So the challenge is the fact is that we give everything away. All of the presentations and the programs, I reach 30,000 students a year, generally all with free programs. And then I give Animal Hero Kids pledge cards to the younger kids for them to take home. So they put their name and they say, I will be kind to animals. I will be part of the solution for homeless animals. I promise to adopt, not shop, spay, neuter. I promise to not go to an aquarium or a circus, jails, wildlife. Yeah. And so I realized that wild animals belong in their natural homes. So it's these like statements that they realize after the program, and then they sign because they've just been taught all that in the program. So all of that costs money. Sure. You know that an average school is 3,000 kids. Today, I have been to a school with 3,000 kids, huge schools today, and the average size is like 700. So in one day, I'll do school assemblies, reach 700 children, give out 700 Animal Hero Kids pledge cards. So it all, of course, costs funding. And the goal is to put, after I read some of the stories from the Animal Hero Kids book, then I donate it to the school library. Nice. And yeah, so then the kids can then read more stories on their own, use it for projects, join Animal Hero Kids if they want to, independently. So it rollerballs from there. I like that word, rollerball.
Snowballs, rollerballs, yeah. Keeps moving. That's good. Other than financial challenges to cover costs, and if you had more money, I know you could do so much more.
I have plans.
Big plans, right?
I have big plans.
What other challenges do you have? I imagine your power is truth, and it's really hard to fight the truth or argue with the truth. But I imagine there are some parents that feel defensive and may react. Do you ever have any reactions that are not positive?
Because I don't go into school and start preaching and saying, you should do this, you should do that, this is wrong, you shouldn't be doing this. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, these are what these children and teens are doing to rescue animals. They're animal hero kids. You can be an animal hero too. And in this child, I'll tell the story about Whitney the chicklet. So Whitney had a little chick named Chicklet, and it was part of her school project in middle school or high school. Or she was like 14, so that would be high school, grade 9. Part of the project is to grow your little chick, feed your little chick, care for your little chick, and then at the end of the project, what do you think happens?
You're supposed to slaughter it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Whitney loved her chick. She would not mark her chick with magic marker as the science teacher told her to do, because she knew which chick was her chick, and she spoke with the principal about how she couldn't do that, and the principal said, well, that's the way it is, too bad. She spoke with the Board of Education. She was on the news. She called Karen Davis from United Poultry Concerns.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about her, yeah. And she was crying now the day that she was going in, and that all the chicks were supposed to be killed. And she put her little chick in her school bag and went down to the parking lot, and her mom picked her up in the parking lot, and off her and Chicklet drove away. So there's a wonderful, wonderful story. And a lot of times the kids here, they learn new words. I mean, I love it when I tell the story about a whistleblower, a teen whistleblower, who helped piglets. And the piglets were being used for paintball practice in Central Florida, Gainesville. And one of them even was blind. And I highlight different things in a story. I'll say it different ways for different ages, of course, because I don't want to give anybody nightmares. So some I'll say they were harming the piglets depending on the age. But then if it's middle school, I'll say what exactly was happening. And this teen, it was his friends that were doing it. So he managed to call somewhere, and legally they went in to stop it. And now those pigs went to Rooterville, which is a pig sanctuary in Gainesville, Central Florida. These third graders are learning new words like whistleblower.
Which is such an important word today.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I really don't. I don't get any. My biggest challenge in the past has been with summer camp programs where it's these young counselor guys that think they're really cool and hip and tough and too cool to talk about helping animals, and then the kids are looking up to them. So I've come up with ways to combat that, really, which is I have many look up to celebrities and sports guys that are like Ron Artest. I have one of the videos we give out for free, Be an Animal Hero. Ron Artest is on there. So then if I get this guy who thinks he's like too cool for school, thinking that I'm just like one of these airy fairy people. They then see Ron Artest and they're all of a sudden they're paying attention. Ron Artest is in my video, so it's like, it's so all of a sudden it's cool to be kind.
Right. Very cool.
And one of the things I was at one point, and this is somewhere where I'd like to get to in the future, this is one of my dreams, is to have an Animal Hero Kids education center for school field trips, where it's like a mini sanctuary where some animals are safe, they'll meet them, and then we'll do vegan cooking, and they'll have vegan lunch, and then we'll do art, we'll do all sorts of things in that education center. So I was fortunate at one point to have part of that dream, but it's a long story, but the sanctuaries were speciest. So they wanted just to help horses, but wanted to have barbecue fundraisers, so it was a battle. But yet the education center, my rule was, if I'm coming to bring my education programs, then it's a vegan education center. My challenge there was when the teachers came and I made vegan chili, or we had vegan Gardein crispy tenders and things like that, I had to be ready for the teachers to turn their nose up at it. And then the students would then watch the teachers and then not eat it. So how I got around that was, I would say before we started eating. Now the biggest, I would say now what I found with all the groups that come through here are, you kids are adventurous. You are the ones that will try new things. And you've got to help your teachers be that way too. Because that's an adventure. That's the way to grow. And and they're like, yes. So now no teacher is not going to try this. They're not going to be pulled up or whatever.
Especially if the food looks like the food that they're always eating. It's not that adventurous.
Exactly.
They don't even have to know until after they've eaten it.
Right. Well, I have to be careful
with allergies, right? Yeah.
But one thing that I'm excited about this year, October, is World Animal Hero Kids Month. This is the first time we're really focusing, and I've made up this hashtag, Animal Hero Kidtober. So Animal Hero Kidtober, all over the world, activities that celebrate, lift up kids who are helping animals, but also adults who may want to approach their local government or their vegan restaurant and ask them to do an activity around Animal Hero Kids Day, or not even a vegan restaurant. Just ask your local restaurant, will you have a vegan kids meal for Animal Hero Kidtober? And or would your sanctuary like to hear some stories from the Animal Hero Kids book, and then kids reading the stories to the rescued cows? There's numerous activities that are already planned, and then more coming along. Then we're going to be putting out news releases and say what's happening all over, but then also local news releases. So for instance, you're there in New York, right?
Yes.
Now there used to be Elmhurst Dairy in New York.
But Elmhurst Dairy actually moved upstate.
Right.
Before they went vegan. Yeah.
Right. So the old Elmhurst, I don't know what's happening with that particular piece of property if it's still a dairy. But what a place for an Animal Hero kid or teen to go and read a poem they created about saving animals and what happens to dairy cows, or a dance. And then we'll have it videoed where they're dancing in front of that Elmhurst Dairy. What I want to do is show the evolving that has happened through the kids that are creatively expressing where we are now. And like, for instance, in Portland, a former butcher shop is now a vegan donut shop.
Yay.
The chicken hatchery I was brought to when I was 9 is now a youth hostel.
Wow.
Yeah, the stockyards that I investigated in 1980, 1981, took photos at, is now a mall called the Stockyards.
Ah,
These,
an interesting
yes,
name, but better 'em all, right?
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
So these,
we have the meatpacking district in New York City, which is all restaurants now. It's like a cool place to go.
and so now it's not, and
It's
there's
not.
now no slaughter.
Well, I
No,
don't
is
know. We've got secret slaughter places all over the city, but I don't know that they're there.
are there any vegan restaurants in the meatpacking district?
I don't know of any. I know I've eaten in a few restaurants there and ordered a vegan meal, but not 100% vegan. Yeah.
It's changed for as far as Animal Hero Kidtober. At one point, I entertained the idea of having crowds of people going and celebrating the kids and having awards and that, but it's changed and I can't rely on that obviously for obvious reasons. The fact is that we can still do Animal Hero Kidtober, just not the crowds there. So which is fine. There's lots of kids, there's lots of evolving that's happening in the world, there's lots of instances. There are even shelters like animal shelters to have one or two children go in and read to the cats. That's actually the picture on the cover of the Animal Hero book is a child reading to a cat in a shelter. And so they can read some of the stories about animal rescue and kids being kind to the dogs and the cats and give them socialization as well, and also improve the reading skills. And then maybe give veggie dogs to the staff, and Animal Hero kids will help get vegan food for free. So it's not all, the responsibility is not all on the individual that wants to help with Animal Hero Kidtober.
We are in the midst of a challenging time right now. You didn't say the word, but COVID-19 is here,
yeah.
And we would like to think it's going to get better, but we don't know. And we're seeing some very unfortunate waves in different areas of the country where things are getting worse, not better. Yeah. And although people are opening up and the government wants kids to go back to school, we don't really know what's going to happen. And I'm sure that affects you a lot because you speak in schools and you want to have events where you can give food away and have kids get together. This is a challenging time. So we don't know what's going to happen in October. I know you have videos on your website. Do you plan some virtual events or do you have any virtual events now?
Yeah.
You said you've got international kids Zooming. Yeah.
Yes. And if you go on our website, you'll see Animal Hero Kids' answer to COVID's, which Ronnie B. Cow is in, and Lovey, my little 18-year-old rescue poodly dog, and Bruna from Brazil, and Kingston from Vancouver, and Kendall from Jacksonville, and all of the kids are in there, and teens. I'm wondering if you can guess what the answer is to prevent COVIDs and other super viruses. What do you think the answer is that the Animal Hero Kids came up with?
Oh, what they came up with? Other than wash your hands? I would hope it would be not eat animals.
That's
yes, you're right.
Spoiler alert.
Do they know that viruses like the coronavirus, this one and the others that came before it, and other zoonotic diseases, have you taught them the word zoonotic? That a lot of the illnesses we have come from confining animals, from keeping animals in a dense, unhealthy environment.
Yeah,
that's the news
that's the news that is not getting out. And that's why we did that video, Animal Hero Kids Answer to COVID. That's the fact is that I even called into a radio show on National Public Radio here, and they were talking about COVIDs and mask wearing. So I mentioned something about mask wearing, how I knew two people, they're neighbors of a friend that have COVIDs and they're not wearing masks and they're walking all over the place. And then right after I said, and why isn't anyone talking about preventing? 3 out of 4 super viruses are emerging from animal having traumatized, overcrowded, disease sick animals and then eating them. And so I rhymed off COVIDs, MERS, SARS, mad cow disease, bird flu, swine flu. They said, thank you very much, click. They hung up on me and did not say one thing about it's like I never called that call didn't exist. They were so, no, we're just going to talk about masks and let's not talk about animals. Let's not talk about the cause of something.
Yeah.
Which is
crazy.
It's suspended logic, you know?
We have a problem as a species. And we have our filters and we don't like to see the truth. I was reading an article in the BBC recently evaluating all the reasons why we have the coronavirus and why some countries are doing better, why Japan has been doing better. And I kept saying, okay, when are they going to talk about food? When are they going to talk about diet? I mean, we know in Japan, even though they picked up some of our bad habits, they eat better than we do here in the United States. They eat more vegetables. And yet finally one renowned expert doctor said, I don't think that's something worth considering, the diet. That's not worth considering. Well, who says that? The evidence says it's worth considering, but because you're somebody with a title, it isn't. It's tough. But here we are. We're here telling the truth. And I appreciate all of those who are listening, who want to know the truth and want to share the truth. And I so appreciate everything that you're doing.
Share the Animal Hero Kids answer to COVID's
Yes,
video.
definitely. I can't wait to see it. It's
got about Facebook, you know, it has that little thing where it shows you how many eyes that it's had. I mean, not plays, but it was 23,000 or
Good.
something.
Well, it needs to be 23 million.
Yes, it does. And it's a cute video. It's done in a way where it's palatable for people, you know, and that's basically what I'm doing with Animal Hero Kids. I'm reaching the pre-vegans, the mainstreams, where the goal of Animal Hero Kids is not to preach to each other. It's to make change and inroads in the schools, in the libraries, in the communities that are not necessarily vegan, but they want to be kind to animals, and they don't realize yet that how their choices are affecting animals. And usually, I mean, the average person that you meet does not want to be cruel to an animal. They will not go out and hit a dog. If they see somebody hitting a dog in their path, they're going to stop that. Well, those are the people that we are reaching with Animal Hero Kids. And once they realize their role, that they are financially congratulating the animal abusers, then they will stop it. So the Animal Hero Kidtober, yes, we're not going to be, as you say, having large crowds, and the world is an unsure future as far as where we will be in October. And there's such challenges. I have been getting more and more adept at virtual, you know, Zooms and all that. So we are creating songs, we're creating videos, you know, maybe that means that we could actually afford a billboard or something if we're not putting so much. I mean, we're also going to be releasing in October, during Animal Hero Kidtober, some new resources and tools for people to use themselves in their own community, like a new book that the title is Top Secret at this point.
Maybe that should be the title, Top Secret.
But it's being trademarked just because I've had so many instances where I've created things and people have taken them and then I use them again, and then I get a phone call from a lawyer or a letter saying I can't use that anymore. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yes, I believe that. And
so
and does that happen from people who are on the same side with a similar message?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. It comes from the dark side.
That's one of them dark side things, or people pretending they're animal groups, but they'll use my humane superheroes for an after school program, and they'll include humane meat in it, you know. So I've learned my lesson, and so anyway, it's top secret until it rolls out, already copyrighted.
Yeah, you have to be smart.
Yes. Yeah. And it's going to be wonderful because we also will have a claymation video that goes with the book. You know, claymation, like
yes, I love claymation. I love claymation more than regular cartoons. There's something alive about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fellow who's doing the claymation in Miami, I visited his preschool and did a program. And he was a student, a preschool student. And now he's grown up, graduated from film school, and is doing our claymation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's full circle. And his sister, I visited his elementary school, her elementary school in 4th grade. And by the time 5th grade came along, her mom said she was a militant vegan animal activist.
So this
the whole family turned vegan after that. So
great. This show is called It's All About Food. And just before we go, I thought we would really talk about food. I'm glad you mentioned Tofurky. Seth Tibbett, the founder, has been so generous over the years, and I'm going to be talking to him on this show in a couple of weeks. I'm excited about that. And he's been so generous, like I said. But I'm curious, what are the favorite foods for your animal kids heroes, your animal hero kids?
Well, Beyond Burger is really has helped us, and they're I have to say, Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger are really on the forefront. I know some vegans are like, oh, it's not healthy, salad is healthier, broccoli is healthier, or sprouts are healthier. Yes, you are not going to convince macho guys to eat salad in place of a burger. You have to give like for like. And so we actually did taste tests in 7 cities. Gave out 700 Impossible Burgers, all the Animal Hero kids from North Carolina, and that's a great video that we have. And the fact is that works. Beyond Burger donated burgers for us for our summit, for our celebration, and for a summer camp for sexual abuse victims, children. And so they are so kind, really, and generous, giving the Beyond Burgers out. And I've not ever had one complaint, and it's always been positive, because it evidently tastes just like what they're used to eating. There's no difference, except there's no animal cruelty. It's better for the climate, and it's better for their health than the meat burgers. So the Beyond Burgers, I mean, my brother is a macho so-and-so, I have to say, and but he likes Beyond Burgers, and he goes to the same section as the meat in the grocery store and takes it. So that's groundbreaking. That's groundbreaking stuff. And of course Tofurky, my picky poodle, who's 18, Lovey. The only thing I can get her to eat half the time is Tofurky cut up in little squares with a bit of Mayoko's butter on the top. Yeah. And speaking of Mayoko's butter is really incredible.
It is. We actually have her cookbook, and we now make it at home instead of buying it in the store. But
I want that.
Okay.
Because we can.
I'll send it to you.
Now we're in Florida, and basically we're being locked down since March 10th.
Yeah, we started making it actually when the shelter in place started. So we were able to order online the ingredients we needed and then make the recipe. And there's several versions. We like the cultured version where you add a vegan yogurt, and we make cashew yogurt at home every couple of weeks. So we have the yogurt happening, and then it's
the Mayoko butter recipe.
I will. I mean, it's not the healthiest of ingredients, but it's a butter, and it's very rich for nice moments. It has coconut oil and sunflower lecithin, which I had to order online. We get all our ingredients organic, but it's very good. And it's not hard to make.
And my wife is actually making bread all the time, which is not good for pandemic pounds, but she makes rosemary bread.
It's not good for pandemic what? Pandemic pounds?
Yes. Have you ever heard I'm getting pandemic pounds? I was 61 this week. I got to watch out for that stuff.
Oh, yes. Happy belated birthday. I'm glad you were born.
Me too. But the Daya frozen ice cream bars with the chocolate around.
Yes.
I've got a real sweet. I have to watch that. And I'm originally from England, so we know Marmite, and Marmite makes the best gravy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You like?
Isn't Marmite like an Australian thing?
It's Vegemite in Australia.
Okay, and it's Marmite.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but they call it. The English brought it over to Australia, but the Australians won't tell you that.
Right, I didn't know that. I learned something on this show every time. It was really, really wonderful talking to you. I learned so much. I'm really excited about what you're doing, and I look forward to October and seeing how we might help.
Thank you. Any listeners that want to get involved, go to animalherokids.org. You can nominate kids and teens. You can become an Animal Hero kid or teen. You can help volunteer. No matter how old you are, we always need volunteers. We are all volunteer, and it's going. And my goal is to have an Animal Hero Kids event in every state. So really, we could use your help, even if that means going to your library and reading a story from the book, or reading to the shelter. The shelter dogs. There are ways to participate, and we actually have 10 ways to participate listed on the Animal Hero Kids website, and you can fill in the little form.
There it is. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm giving you a virtual hug. Stay strong, be well.
Thank you.
I hope to see you sometime.
Yes, thank you. You're looking marvelous.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. And that was Susan Hargreaves, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that interview. I did. And I also hope you will visit her website, animalherokids.org. If you have children, young, teens, whatever, if you're at home a lot sheltering in place, you just may want to spin over to animalherokids.org and watch some of the videos there, learn a few things, and get inspired. While I have you here for just a few more minutes, I wanted to talk about food, delicious food. Gary and I ate out a couple of nights ago. Well, we ate out on our terrace. We haven't been in a restaurant in months, of course. But eating out and eating outside is a wonderful thing to do if you have a space to do that in, especially in the summer. And we're very fortunate to have a nice little terrace. It's tiny, but we've designed it so we can do a lot of things in that small space. We ate out, and it was a 3-course meal. I wanted to highlight some of the things we had because they're really good for summer and easy to make. We had a collection of appetizers, a hummus, crudité, some nice olives, and a creamy pesto. You've heard me rag on hummus before, and I know a lot of people find it's easy to just buy hummus in a plastic container in the stores. It's just as easy, well, almost as easy to make it yourself, and so much better. Most of the commercial brands of hummus have lots of oils in them, and not even the traditional olive oil, but very often an oil that's high in omega-6 fatty acids. Commercial brand hummus varieties often have preservatives in them, which are not healthy. And if it's not organic, it's very likely it will have significant residues of glyphosate. We're learning all the time about the products, the plants that farmers grow and use glyphosate to desiccate the fields. This includes many grains and beans. Unfortunately, conventional beans, not organic, have been shown to have residues of glyphosate. Make your own hummus. If you don't want to cook the beans, you can buy a can of garbanzo beans that's organic with a BPA-free lining, preferably salt-free. I know it's a lot to think about, but these things are becoming more and more available. So that's the hummus. And you just whip it up either in a blender or a food processor. I find a food processor is a little better for hummus because in a blender, a lot of the hummus gets stuck in the bottom by the blade and you have to spend some time scooping it out. That doesn't happen in the food processor. We have a bunch of hummus recipes and I will link them to this program. And then pesto is such a wonderful thing to make in the summer, especially if you're growing your own basil. It's not hard to grow basil. It doesn't require a lot of space. It does require some sun, a little attention, watering it. But basil, a lot of herbs like mint and things, they just like to grow. And you don't have to do much to them, and they're so great to have. Basil, fresh basil, is addicting to me. I just love to have it. We have a number of different pesto recipes, and I want to highlight they are all oil-free, as is our hummus recipes are oil-free. They're not fat-free. We don't have a problem with fat as long as fat comes from what? Whole food plant sources like raw nuts and seeds, avocado, coconut. And in our creamy pestos, they're creamy, they're not oily. They have a nut base like cashews or sunflower seeds, something you can blend and make creamy. And it goes with the fresh garlic or the roasted garlic and the fresh basil. It's amazing. The last recipe I want to highlight today is our verdura mista al forno, which is oven roasted vegetables. This is really an easy dish to make. It's good in the summer. It's also good in the winter. But if you have a covered baking dish, we use a Le Creuset Dutch oven. You put all of your different vegetables, potatoes and onions, zucchini, celery, carrots, and you can sprinkle a little vinegar on them, some fresh garlic, and you roast it in the oven. This time we made it with some marinated tempeh in it as well. You just put everything all in one pot and you bake it, and a little while later it's ready to go. And there's just something so comforting and cozy about roasting vegetables this way. And when vegetables are fresh in the summer, this is a great dish to make with eggplant or whatever your favorite summer vegetables are. Bell peppers are great. You can also grill these vegetables too, but we find that roasting them this way, it's easy. It's just easy. And then when you have a pesto to go with it, you're set. As you know, I'm continually updating my recipes, especially the baked ones where I'm using my own flour mixes, gluten-free flour mixes that don't have starch. And I have just remade my gluten-free baguette recipe. I will link that in this post. It is phenomenal with sorghum flour, millet flour, garbanzo bean flour, and a little oat flour. It's a really good gluten-free bread. So bon appetit, everybody. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, have a delicious week.